Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on your MTN Statewide News. On this Monday, I'm Andrea Lutz. This afternoon in Montana, an Amber Alert search continues for a 6-month-old Flathead County baby. Lucas Warner from Columbia Falls, taken by his non-custodial father, Andrew Warner, and Haley Emerson. Andrew is reportedly bipolar and off his medication. Authorities want the public to watch out for a white, early 2000s Chevy extended pickup with unknown plates. They're possibly headed to the Bob Marshall Wilderness, North Dakota, South Dakota, or Wyoming. If you do have any information, you're asked to call the Flathead County Sheriff's Office. There are 2 new deaths to report when it comes to Montana's fight against COVID-19. The virus has claimed the lives of 2 people in Yellowstone County. A 4th person has died from the virus in Flathead County. In all, state health officials are reporting 52 new cases across Montana. Cascade County is leading the state with 17 new cases. Just days into a new school year, kids in Shepherd will be staying home. The culprit, COVID-19. Classes are canceled for the next 2 days following a positive case. Schools will now undergo a deep cleaning, and the district planned to check out laptops to students in case a situation like this came up. However, now that will have to wait. The superintendent says teachers will contact students about their homework. A longtime member of the Cascade County Republicans is identified as the man who drowned in the Missouri River. 69-year-old Cleve Jeffrey Loney died Saturday. The sheriff says Loney and others were floating the river near Pelican Point. Loney's kayak tipped and he fell into the river. His body was later found by a fisherman. Crews continue to tackle a wildfire that broke out west of Bozeman near Norris Hot Springs. It's grown to over 1,000 acres. No injuries are reported and no structures threatened, but the fire is moving towards a landfill on the south side of Norris towards Ennis. Firefighters are tackling that fire from the west to try and keep it there. And in Yellowstone National Park, a wildfire continues to rage 3 miles south of Old Faithful. Lightning sparked this 300-acre fire. It's moving in the opposite direction of the geyser, but crews are protecting the area just in case. Lightning activity has been heavy in the park and fire danger is considered high. In Ravalli County, firefighters are battling the Cinnabar fire burning east of Stevensville. This fire is burning in the Rock Creek drainage in the Lolo National Forest, also started by lightning. While the fire is active in heavy beetle-killed trees, the terrain is steep, presenting challenges for firefighters. No structures are threatened, though, at this time. And the 10,000-acre Bear Creek fire burning near Dillon in the Beaverhead Deer Ledge National Forest is now 60% contained. Crews plan to hold the fire lines where successful burnout operations took place over the weekend. That fire also started by lightning. All of these fires in Montana kicking up a lot of smoke, in addition to some of the other smoke that we've been seeing and you've been tracking around the country.
That's for sure. It's all adding together and is causing some problems. Now, some of the areas of southwest Montana, obviously we're going to have smoke from the fires that are burning there. Also some special fire circumstances through Wyoming where the smoke has been much heavier there as well. So while we've got some smoke from localized fires, a lot of it's also coming our way from California. You can see that we're at least seeing some modest air quality problems across areas of southern Montana, but particularly in the southwest portion of the state. We'll continue to watch a lot of irritation. If you're at high risk, make sure you limit your activity, and we'll be looking at maybe some improvement in that as we get into the coming days. We'll talk more about that coming up in a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Ed. Back-to-back storms could strike the Gulf Coast. Marco is expected to make landfall today, Laura following in its path. Marco already killed 11 people in Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Storm preparations are now underway in Louisiana and Mississippi. Montana's tourism industry might not be seeing the complete pandemic devastation that we had feared. However, University of Montana researchers say it is still one of the worst tourism years in a decade. Even though campgrounds are still filling up and more out-of-state license plates are being seen in the state, sit-down restaurants are still hurting. But tourists could stick around into the fall.
I would anticipate, though, as we have folks around the country that are less likely to fly, their driving distance is increasing a little bit and their willingness to drive is out there.
Another bright spot has been those visits to Yellowstone and Glacier National Parks, but another challenge is hiring seasonal workers for the parks. This morning's RNC delegates officially declared the renomination of President Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence for this year's election. Republicans kicked off their national convention in Charlotte, North Carolina and Washington, D.C. Like the Democrats, the GOP revamped the convention to keep people safe during the coronavirus pandemic. Skylar Henry has the latest.
President Trump headed to North Carolina this morning to meet with delegates, not long after Republicans opened their national convention in Charlotte.
This convention will come to order!
With the coronavirus pandemic limiting travel and activities, a maximum of 336 delegates are allowed on site, with the vast majority participating virtually.
That Alabama has unanimously cast its 50 delegates' votes for President Donald J. Trump.
Roll call of the states was one of the first orders of business to officially nominate President Trump and Vice President Mike Pence to run for a second term. While the GOP convention gets underway, the Trump administration announced presidential counselor Kellyanne Conway, who is set to speak at the convention, is stepping down at the end of this month to focus on her family. Conway was a campaign manager before transitioning to the White House. Her husband, George Conway, is also stepping down from his role with the anti-Trump Republican group, the Lincoln Project.
Kellyanne's going to be missed. America loves her. We certainly will miss her here at the White House.
Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley will speak to delegates tonight. So will Mark and Patricia McCloskey, the Missouri couple who waved guns at protesters outside their mansion in June. President Trump is expected to appear every night, culminating with his acceptance speech on Thursday from the White House. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Each convention attendee was told to get a negative COVID test before coming to Charlotte. The president is issuing an emergency authorization allowing blood plasma as a therapeutic treatment for COVID-19. The president accused the FDA of being slow to embrace convalescent plasma. However, some in the medical field say the effectiveness of the treatment isn't clear. Still more news to come on the Noon News. When the pandemic hit, food supply dwindled, as we know, but we'll show you how the kindness of one group delivering food to those in need has grown to help hundreds. And first, Ed is back in with a look at that statewide weather forecast.
Starts now with meteorologist Ed McIntosh.
Welcome back to the Noon News. We have a bit of a contrast in temperatures here as of midday. Check out 69 in Dillon right now, a lot of 70s to mid 80s in central and western Montana. But then all of a sudden the 80s to 90s. We're at 90 right now in Jordan, 91 in Sheridan, Wyoming, 89 in Cody. So as the afternoon progresses, we're going to see especially hot temperatures into the eastern plains. Now what you're not seeing, along with the clouds and a few showers that are starting to develop towards the west, is also some of that smoke we mentioned at the top of the newscast. So breezy across the northeast corner of the state, at least up to around areas around Williston, Glasgow, Jordan. The winds have increased a bit, but still things this afternoon are going to be fairly quiet. It's mainly going to be about how hot will it get and how much smoke will we see in the region. The humidities are starting to drop as low as the teens now in Livingston and also down towards Cody, Wyoming. Teens 20s across the eastern plains to 30s. And while we have a bit more moisture up in northwest Montana, for the most part, it's not enough to really fuel anything as far as showers and thunderstorms other than a few things coming off the high elevations. You can see that moisture streak continue to move up. That's bringing some cloudiness, pumping a little more moisture up, but it's also tapping into these wildfires here through California and drawing more of that wildfire smoke up, especially here as we look at the southern 2/3 of Montana through Wyoming and then over into the northern plains along with it. So here's the setup for today. We've got those areas of smoke, in fact, heavy smoke across these darker shaded areas through most of Montana and through the eastern portion of Wyoming. Dry conditions and then the hot air, especially once we start looking into the eastern plains. A few isolated storms will ripple off the mountains this afternoon, mainly producing some wind. It's going to be hard to get anything going where we actually get some measurable moisture other than in the mountains and foothills, and then push that cold front through tomorrow, this big green shaded area, and especially here in areas of southwest Montana highlighted in the yellow, the potential for some of the stronger storms to produce mainly wind. Now, there will be a chance of actually getting a little moisture out of some of those storms tomorrow, but for the most part, they're going to be pretty fast moving. That wave moves through, dries us out a little bit, and then leaves us with a few more stray showers and thunderstorms heading in towards Wednesday. But at the same time, we're looking at the temperatures starting to drop off. So today, areas of smoke, areas of clouds, and a few isolated storms, as hot as triple digits possible in areas of the eastern plains. And a lot of that's just going to depend on how much cloud cover and how much smoke continues to move in. 50s, 60s for the overnight lows. And then tomorrow, looking for the daytime highs to be 70s, 80s across much of western Montana. It's still very hot into the 90s across the eastern edge of the state. So for Kalispell and Missoula, looking at temperatures mainly into the upper 80s, 90s today, and then a slow progressive cool down, bringing temperatures back in line with seasonal averages. A few stray showers and thunderstorms through midweek. Great Falls and Helena looking at temperatures settling back into the mid to upper 80s after today, and the overnight lows mainly into the 50s. For Butte and Bozeman, looking at a little more active weather. Some of that smoke is going to linger, but the temperatures start to drop off by a few degrees. It could be as cool as the 40s first thing in the morning for you in Butte. And for the eastern plains, Glendive and Billings, temperatures are especially hot today and tomorrow and then start to drop off. It could really get cooler by the end of the weekend. There's a look at the weather. Back to you, Andrea.
All right, thanks, Ed. When COVID reached Montana in March, a volunteer group on the Flathead Indian Reservation began making grocery deliveries to a handful of people in need. Now, 6 months later, hundreds of people are utilizing that service. MTN's Megan Mannering has the story.
When 4 p.m. on Friday rolls around, families from across the Flathead Indian Reservation make their way to the Kicking Horse Job Corps. With no questions asked, they're given food and other essential items. Tribal Representative Martin Charlo will tell you that these distribution days are the response to a community's cry for help.
People in these rural communities don't have access to a lot of variety of food or services, or the transportation to go get those services.
The initiative is led by a team of volunteers, and the driving force of their efforts is the urgency to protect their elders from COVID-19.
A lot of the community members, a lot of talk of like, how are we going to protect them? How are we going to keep them home? How are we going to feed them, so they don't have to go to the grocery store?
And what began as an emphasis on their elders has flourished into a booming operation where almost 300 individuals are served each week. Folks like Dan Webster and Vicki Thomas, for example.
Well, we're both retired, but we don't go out. We don't want to go and get the food from the stores and stuff. So this really helps us out.
Now, when families show up to distribution day, they get a little bit of everything. Here we've got produce, detergent, shampoo, got some noodles. Can't forget the beef, of course. Organizers tell me that this is enough food to last an individual an entire week or until the next distribution day. What started as a simple call to action is slowing the spread of coronavirus and bringing a community closer together.
The people who come through our drive-through are so gracious and they're so appreciative, and there's times that it's emotional because I know that we are feeding a family that needs help.
In Ronan, Megan Mannering, MTN News.
The distribution days happen every Friday from 4 to 6. You can sign up for food deliveries through the Flathead Res Community Action Facebook page. Your latest Ag News is coming up next with Russell Nemens.
Here's your Farm and Ranch report from the Montana Ag Network.
Hi everybody, it's time for your Farm and Ranch news. Well, a new study shows that red meat exports added 12% of bushel value to U.S. corn farmers last year. In fact, the U.S. Meat Export Federation recently updated a new study on the market value of red meat exports. And at an average price of $3.75 per bushel, 46 cents of that is from red meat exports, according to that study. Now, the results indicate that without red meat exports, corn growers nationwide would have lost nearly $6.5 billion in corn revenue in last year alone. Now, last year, U.S. beef and pork exports used 480 million bushels of corn. The USMEF says beef and pork exports have been the fastest growing category of corn use since 2015. Now keep in mind the projected market value of red meat exports to U.S. corn from 2020 through 2029 is well over $23 billion. In some other news, it looks like U.S. hemp growers are disappointed that the recent coronavirus food assistance program commodity expansion doesn't include hemp. Last week, the USDA expanded the commodities covered under the program that provides COVID-19 relief to producers. CFAP includes commodities that USDA can prove saw losses of 5% or more in the first quarter of this year. Now, the U.S. Hemp Growers Association believes their farmers did present evidence of losses to their growers that were 5% or more in the first quarter of 2020. Now, hemp is such a newly legal crop that it does not have the advantage of data gathered by USDA agencies. Currently, the data available to understand the market is gathered privately by several data companies nationwide. Well, stay with us. We'll have more egg news right after this. Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee finalizes new federal dietary guidelines. Ranchers are urging them to do more to encourage beef as part of a healthy diet. In fact, sixth-generation California rancher Kaya Twisselman recently told USDA and Health and Human Services officials about her firsthand experience with the benefits of beef in her diet. That's because 2 years ago, she lost over 125 pounds through small life changes, regular exercise, and a healthy diet that, yes, did include beef.
Luckily, it makes it really easy when it comes to beef because beef, I mean, let's just be honest, it's delicious, right? Like if I'm going to include something in my diet, I want it to taste good, right? So beef is a nutrient-dense food. You're getting more than 10 essential vitamins and nutrients in one 3-ounce package. And it's so versatile. You can pair it in so many different ways. And it was really important to me when I was really creating this healthy lifestyle for myself that I was going to incorporate foods that I loved, that I could be willing to commit to eating for the rest of my life, right? And so I'm just so proud that I get to be on this side of my health journey and be an example of what that looks like, what incorporating beef, lean beef in a healthy diet looks like, and really be a voice for our farmers and ranchers in that capacity. It's been really rewarding.
And Kaya testified on behalf of the NCBA. And by the way, for more information about delicious and nutritious beef recipes, just visit beefitswhatsfordinner.com. That's a look at your farm and ranch news. Have a great day.
All right, thanks, Russell. For those of you who love going to the theater to see the latest Hollywood blockbuster, your chance is coming back. In Great Falls, the AMC Theaters reopened this Thursday as a part of the company's effort to reopen the majority of their theaters before Labor Day weekend. But things, of course, will change due to COVID. Moviegoers must wear a mask, and when they come in, they can remove those when they're consuming concessions. But auditorium capacities will also be reduced to about 40% or less. In all, though, AMC plans to open 100 theaters across the United States. We did check in with Billings, and they will be opening the one on the Shiloh location, but that Rimrock location, it's going to open September 3rd. So all of the AMCs across the state, we'll see. We'll see when they open.
That's right. Well, I think right now we have the towering inferno, less the towering part across most of the state, and that's going to continue to influence the weather. Temperatures into the 80s, but areas of smoke will persist. Now, that could have some influence on some of the readings here even this afternoon. With some of the smoke moving across the area, it may squash a few of those afternoon highs, but this looks like it could be the hottest day that we could see possibly for the rest of the year. The overall trend is cooling as we start getting into the weekend. It will start to push those readings back down into the 80s with occasional low 90 possible.
All right, thanks for joining us on the New News.